إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم بك نحيا وبك نموت وإليك المصير. رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا.
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي.
You're listening to Peterborough's community radio, Salam Radio. Salam Radio. 106.2 FM.
Good afternoon and welcome to Salam Radio on 106.2 FM. We are here from Peterborough Women's Aid for our first ever show, Keep Women Talking. My name's Mandy, I'm your host for today, and I have Sue with me. Sue, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. So, before we start the show, last time we were here, we were on a pilot show. And we ended the show and we said that we were at the Peterborough Business Awards on Thursday night and we were nominated for Charity of the Year. And guess what happened? We won! We won! And here it is. Anyone that's watching on YouTube or Facebook, here is our amazing award. So we're super happy. Sue, tell me how you felt when our name was called out.
Oh, it was just amazing. It was a great night. And I think you always hope you're going to win these things, but you never know. We were up against some tough competition. But yeah, it was just incredible.
Yeah, it was so good, wasn't it?
It was.
And I think for me, it was just a real recognition of the work that we do. You know, we have an amazing family of staff, don't we? And volunteers and trustees and people who support us.
That's it. We've worked so hard over the last 2 years to build ourselves up and to get us more well known within the community.
Yeah.
So it was really recognition of that, which was brilliant.
And I think also it's going to make sure that we're more well known now, isn't it? And that hopefully businesses might want to sponsor us. If you're a business out there and you want to sponsor us, please do. But yeah, so we are super chuffed at Peterborough Women's Aid. I might just keep this trophy here for every show that we do.
Well, if I remember rightly, Mandy, the night we won it, you ended up sharing your bed with it.
I did sleep with the trophy. Yes, I did. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about the different forms of domestic abuse, and that is quite a heavy subject. So if you've got little people with you, it might be that you want to listen in another room or just be mindful that some things that we say you might not want them to hear. But to counteract that, we have our first question. And this is a bit of a fun question. And we are asking you, what do you love about being a woman? Sue, what do you love about being a woman?
Do you know that I found this really hard to pinpoint anything? But all I can remember is when I was pregnant with my 2 children and having them grow inside of me and feel them moving around was just amazing. And I think as a woman, it's a very privileged thing to be able to do.
It is. I agree. Yep. I've got three boys. So yes, yeah, absolutely. It's that special bond, isn't it? Because when I was thinking about this question, one thing that popped into my head was breastfeeding. I really loved breastfeeding the children because it just gave you that immediate bond,
it's that
didn't it?
closeness,
yeah,
I think, isn't it? Definitely.
Yeah.
So what's yours then, Mandy?
Well, mine is not as profound as that. But so I love when I get out of bed in the morning and I look absolutely dreadful.
I'm sure you don't.
No, I do. And then I can, within an hour, with my fake eyelashes and my makeup and my hair straightened, I look in the mirror and I'm like, I'm literally 10 years younger. Well, I feel 10 years younger. So I love that about being a woman. I love all the femininity that comes with it, how you can make yourself feel beautiful. So that's one thing I love about being a woman. I obviously love being a mother to my 3 children, just in case they're listening. Okay, so we want you to text in, or you can text in on 07411 191062. You can call us on 01733 602 133. And you can comment live on Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. So we are asking you, what do you love about being a woman? Please do let us know. So, like I said, we are going to be talking about the different types of domestic abuse. But before I go into that, I just want to put some context around why this is such an important subject. And indeed, Women's Aid released a report today saying that it's an epidemic of violence against women. So each year, more than 75,000 people in the UK are at high and imminent risk of being murdered or seriously injured as a result of domestic abuse. Women are more likely to be victims. 95% of crime reports with domestic abuse are women. 8 women per month are killed in England and Wales by a current or former partner. And in Cambridgeshire, over the last 3 years, there has been 21 domestic homicides.
That's in Cambridgeshire alone?
That is in Cambridgeshire alone.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Considering we're such a relatively small county.
I know. 78% of children living with domestic abuse are directly harmed by the perpetrator. So there is a government definition of domestic abuse, but we're going to talk a bit more about the different forms of domestic abuse. But the government definition says that you have to be over 16 to suffer domestic abuse. And I think we could probably have a whole show about this, but people might have seen it in the news recently. Holly Newton, she was 15 and she was stabbed to death by her ex-boyfriend. But they couldn't put it down as domestic abuse because it didn't fall in that definition. So I think that's just something to be mindful of, because we're going to talk later on about the work that we do with young people. And, there's some really scary stats out there about the views of boys and girls and teenagers in relationships. Okay, so don't forget, our question is, what do you love about being a woman? Please do text, call or comment on our socials. So we're going to be talking about the different types of abuse. And like I said earlier, this does come with a trigger warning. So if you do feel that you need support, please do contact Peterborough Women's Aid on 01733 894 964, or go on our website where you can chat to us anonymously. So we're going to start with, the most obvious, I suppose, form of abuse, and that's physical abuse.
And I think this is the one that most people think of when they talk about domestic abuse, but there's so much more to it.
There is, yeah. And people always assume it's the black eyes, it's the fat lip, broken nose, whatever, isn't it? So what forms of physical abuse have you worked with or are you aware of?
So this can compromise of anything such as punching, slapping, hitting, kicking, applying pressure to the throat. So when we talk about strangling, it's not necessarily hands round the throat. It can be pressure just on the windpipe or squeezing the windpipe. Spitting, using objects to physically attack someone, or such things as punching walls next to the person, or breaking things or throwing things at them.
So when I know I've worked with clients before that have said, well, he didn't hit me, he just smashed something near me, or he punched the wall, and they say, well, it wasn't at me, but actually
it's that threat, isn't it, and that intimidation that comes with it, and it's feeling that there's a possibility that could have hit you or he could have punched you.
Yeah, and it's kind of like this might happen to you.
It's that sign of aggression and that violence that comes with it.
Yeah, definitely. So Sue, you talk there about holding someone by the neck, and there is a term for this now, isn't there? And it's actually a criminal offence now. So the term is non-fatal strangulation.
That's right.
And it became a crime in June 2022. And there's some really troubling facts, I suppose, about this crime, which seems to be more and more common. And we know it's more and more common in teenagers now, which is really worrying. I'm going to give you some facts, but like I said, at this point, you might want to turn the radio down if you've got little ones listening. So, yeah, non-fatal strangulation was a crime in June 2022, and the maximum you can get for doing this is 5 years in prison. So some facts about the impacts of non-fatal strangulation. So in 6.8 seconds, you can lose consciousness. In 15 seconds, in 15 seconds, you can become incontinent. In 30 seconds, you can become bowel incontinent. And the long-term effects of non-fatal strangulation are massive. So it can lead to stroke in victims, it can lead to confusion. But the really interesting part of this is that 50% of victims have no marks of the action of strangulation.
I think because it takes such little pressure,
It does.
to have the impact. Like you say, no marks necessarily are left behind.
But the long-term impact of non-fatal strangulation is absolutely huge, isn't it?
And ever since that came about, I think the short time it takes to have an impact just amazes me every time.
Yeah.
It's just so quick.
It is. And like I said earlier, there's unfortunately a high number of teenagers that are involved in this behaviour, in terms of sometimes it's during a sexual activity, a lot of the time it's things that they're seeing on the internet and things like that. So really the message from us today is there is no safe way to hold somebody by the neck at all.
Exactly.
Because the consequences are just absolutely huge. Okay, so we've looked at physical abuse. If what we're talking about has triggered anything in you, if you know someone that might need support, please do reach out to Peterborough Women's Aid. 01733 894 964. So it's quite heavy stuff today. So to counteract that, we are asking you, what do you love about being a woman? We've heard that Sue loved carrying her children, and I love fake eyelashes. So please do get in touch. Please call us on 01733 602 133. Text us on 074 11191062, or you can comment on our socials, Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. Okay, so Sue, we're going to move on to the next form of domestic abuse, which is psychological and emotional abuse. And this is often hidden, isn't it? So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, this is one of the hardest ones, and I think it's really hard for someone to recognise this initially, because it can be so subtle to start off with and does tend to escalate over time. And it can start off as simple name calling and mocking you. Some things like sulking, if the person doesn't get their own way, or refusing to talk to you. And then it can escalate into screaming, shouting at you, making you doubt yourself, where you've had a conversation in the past, you're recalling that conversation, and they're then going, well, I didn't say that. I don't know what you're talking about. No, you've got that completely wrong, and saying something completely different, so that you eventually get to the point where you feel as though you're going a bit crazy, you're losing your mind a little bit. Reality gets a bit warped, and you're not quite sure what's real and what's not anymore.
So Sue, is that the term gaslighting?
It is, yeah.
Because people use that term, and I think sometimes people don't know what that actually means, but that was a really good description by you. And you do feel like you're going slightly mad, don't you?
Yeah. Like reality, you're not quite sure what was real, what wasn't, and you begin to doubt your own memory, what you were recalling. And I think that has a massive impact on your mental health long term.
Yeah.
And then you can get things where someone might threaten to commit suicide. They might threaten to hurt you. And then things that's quite commonly used is threats that they're going to report you to the police. They might threaten to report you to children's services, and then they'll say, you know, I'll tell them that you're crazy, you can't look after the children, and they'll get taken away from you. And that's huge, absolutely huge when you're a mother, to have the threat that your children might be removed from your care. They then might turn around and blame you for whatever they're doing. Well, you did that, it's your fault, you made me do that. Anything along those sort of lines. And then obviously the threatening to kill and harm you or your children.
Mm-hmm. So this just leads me on to another question, Sue. So we get asked this a lot in our sector. Why don't women just leave?
Fear.
Fear? Okay. What else?
Because they get to a point where they're so terrified about what's going to happen, that fear that is instilled in them, they are absolutely terrified to make that move because of the threats of going to the police, of having their children removed, of being told that they're crazy, don't know what they're doing, can't look after themselves, can't look after their money. You know, all these threats are put in place, and people are terrified of leaving because of the consequences that may happen after they've gone. Because through the process of this emotional abuse, they get a warped concept of reality, like I was talking about, and that can be around everything. They've been brainwashed, if you like, about the impacts, especially if you get people who don't necessarily know the legal system in this country, or have a weak immigration status, and they're unsure of their rights. They very often believe whatever someone's telling them, because if they don't know, they're just going to trust the person that is telling them the truth. So
yeah, I mean, you can just imagine, can't you, being in that situation when you are constantly being brainwashed, threatened, you know, in fear of your life if you were to leave.
That's it. Or you could be threatened to be deported.
Yeah, yeah.
As well, you know, without your children very often.
Absolutely. I think there's two other things for me as well. The first one is she believes he's going to change. So it's this, I don't know, a physical assault happens. And clients have often told us this, actually, that after they are assaulted, they have this period of kind of respite.
Yeah, almost calm.
Yeah.
Where the perpetrator becomes a nice person again. And they apologise. They might buy flowers. They might take them out to dinner.
Yeah.
Because they're going to change.
Yeah, because they're going to change. And then obviously the victim believes they're going to change because all of their behaviour is changing. They're doing all of these lovely things.
And I think when you love someone, you wait for that behaviour. That's the part that you love of them. And when you get that, you cling on to it during those difficult moments, and you almost make excuses for them.
Yeah. And we've worked with clients that have actually said to us, I encouraged him to hit me because I knew once he'd hit me, I would have this period of calm and I was safe for 2 weeks. I wasn't on eggshells. I was safe for 2 weeks. And then it would all kind of happen and spiral again.
Definitely.
And the second thing I was going to say, and you've just said it, is the L word, isn't it? It's love. I mean, if you love somebody, however badly you're being treated, it's still difficult to make that break, isn't it? And I don't think that's acknowledged enough in abusive relationships, that yes, you're leaving a perpetrator, you're going to safety, but there's still the emotional connection there, isn't there?
There is. There's still that part of you that loves them and loves that nice part of them. And you will have made some lovely memories during that time. It may have been the early stages of your relationship where you had all these lovely visits, you know, and that you may have been treated really, really well initially. And it was only later on that these abusive signs came into the relationship.
Yeah. So that's your answer. When people say to us in our sector, why don't women leave? There we go. That's why women don't leave. So we are asking you a question today, and it is, what do you love about being a woman? Please do get in touch with us. Call 01733 602 133. text us on 07411 191 062 or comment on our Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. Okay, so we've looked at physical abuse, we've looked at psychological and emotional abuse, and the next one that I want to think about is coercive control, which does link to psychological and emotional abuse. Now, coercive control became a crime in 2015. At that point, it was a real struggle to get anyone convicted of this crime because coercive control is sometimes completely unseen. And I'm going to give you an example. So we had a client who wasn't allowed out of her flat. And each day, the perpetrator would leave post-it notes around the flat with things for her to do. She never knew how many post-it notes there were. And he made it very clear that if she didn't find and do the jobs on every post-it note, he would come back and assault her.
So were these post-it notes in the same place each time?
No, they were hidden. So every day she would spend her day searching for post-it notes to do the jobs that are on there in fear of what would happen when he got back. So can you imagine that? This is every single day.
So she lived in fear of not finding them.
Yeah.
Or not finding the right amount.
Yeah.
Or not doing the jobs.
Not doing the jobs.
Were on those post-its.
So that's a really good example of coercive control because it's unseen. How are the police going to prosecute that?
I think
it's
this
happening.
Is the difficulty, isn't it? Is the lack of evidence.
Yeah. It's happening, and this woman was so controlled and just was constantly in fear all of the time. And it's so manipulative, that behaviour, isn't it? Have you got any other examples of coercive control?
So I think one of the most common ones that we see is the isolation. So very often perpetrators will isolate their victim from family, from friends, by any means that they possibly have. So this could be moving to a different part of the country. It could be stopping mail coming to the house or the accommodation that you're living in. It could be taking away your mobile phone so that you can't contact anyone. And then they can go, oh, well, I don't like your friend. They make me feel this way. I don't want to go and see them again. And then they may refuse to take you, for example, and drop you off at your friend's. And then your friend goes, oh, well, they're not bothering with me anymore. And that relationship becomes more and more distant. And they become more and more isolated over time. And then they've got no one else to go to, no one there for support. So even if they recognise that something's not right within their relationship, they've lost everyone around them, so they've got no one to turn to.
So that feeds into what we were talking about with Why Women Don't Leave.
It does.
Because if you've been that isolated, where are you going to go? If he's the only person that you know or are allowed to know or are allowed to spend time with.
That's it. If you've got no access to a telephone, you've got no access to the internet, how can you look things up? I think we're all, very keen to search things these days. We go on our phones, on the internet, search things up. You can find organisations like us that are out there to support you. If you haven't got access to those facilities, you're even more isolated.
And then we've seen really extreme cases of isolation, haven't we, where we've had actual clients that have been locked in their house, locked in a bedroom, locked in a cupboard. Which when we do stuff like this and we're raising awareness and we say we work with women who are actually locked in cupboards, people say
it sounds like it belongs on a film.
It does, but it actually this is real life stuff, doesn't it? I worked with a woman who was made to eat her dinner from a dog bowl each night on all fours.
Well, that's it. And again, food deprivation.
Yep.
Not feeding them anything or feeding them at random intervals. And the other thing that we've found in the past is that medicine has very often been used against them. Either it's withheld from them, or they're given the wrong dose, or they've even been overdosed by their perpetrator because they have control of the medicines. And again, that's really hard to evidence. But obviously the impact on that individual's medical condition could be huge.
Absolutely, yeah. And this goes back to this coercive control of it being unseen, doesn't it? And imagine living with that.
Oh, that's it. And this is the thing, living day in, day out with all these different aspects, because very often it's not just one thing that they do, it's multiple things that they do.
Yeah. We have a reply on our socials. So we are asking the question today, what do you love about being a woman? So we have Anne. Anne says that she likes the camaraderie she has with other females. Women talk to each other more than men do. They laugh together and generally build each other up. I have found during my life that there is always another woman to turn to.
Oh, that's lovely.
Thank you, Anne.
Like
that is lovely, isn't it? And we laugh a lot, don't we, to be fair? We probably laugh too much. But that's really important, isn't it? To have a connection. I think Anne is absolutely right. We have a connection, don't we?
I think women, another thing that Anne said about building each other up, I think we're very good at doing that. Within your friendship circles, you're very much about supporting and almost promoting what people want to do.
Yeah.
And encouraging them. And I think that's really important.
I think it is. And I think the word camaraderie is great, isn't it? Can't say it, but it's great. Okay, so we are asking you the question, what do you love about being a woman? Please do call us on 01733 602 133. Text on 07411 191062, and we will be back with you after this ad break. We look forward to hearing from you.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
For the top pizza in Peterborough, visit Top's Pizza, established in 1988 for delicious pizzas with freshly made dough daily. View the extensive and mouth-watering menu online at topspizza.co.uk, then choose from traditional tasty toppings, something different, or create your own with fresh 100% halal meats, salads, veg, and a great choice of sides too. Call into Top's Pizza, 52 Broadway, PE1 1SB. Call 01733 913 775 or order online for delivery or collection.
Are you a savvy shopper searching for the best food deals? Look no further. Adams Cash and Carry can help you save big. We're not just a food wholesaler for takeaways and restaurants. We also welcome household customers at our warehouse in Westwood, Peterborough. Visit our website and enjoy wholesale prices on everything from drinks to flour, rice to burgers, and much more. To shop, go online and collect in store. Visit adamscashandcarry.co.uk today to start your savings spree.
Satisfy your cravings at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant. Enjoy a tantalising variety of Chinese, Italian, Pakistani and comfort food favourites, from starters to desserts. Kids under 5 dine for free, so bring the whole family to our location at 63 Sycamore Avenue. Open every day from 5 p.m. till 10:30 p.m. Call us on 01733 313131 or book online to reserve your table. Ibrahimi-restaurant.co.uk. Every bite is a delight at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant.
Where can you get high quality and low prices? Amar Food Store and Halal Meat in Lincoln Road, Triangle is the place to go. Pay us a visit and take advantage of our special offers and great range of products on groceries, vegetables, fruits and halal meat. Also send money to Pakistan absolutely free. We have all top brands at special offers, offer free customer parking and provide a free local delivery service. Amar Food Store and Halal Meat, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call us on 01733 687 374. High in quality, low in prices.
Craving authentic Desi flavors? Look no further than Desi Restaurant. From midday until 1 in the morning, enjoy our homemade specialties that will transport your taste buds. Indulge in tantalizing papri chaat and savor the rich Chersi Kadahi. Treat your friends to our fresh 1 kilogram Chersi lamb handi. Plus, get 2 12-inch pizzas for $11.95. Located at 298 Lincoln Road, we deliver from lunchtime until 1 a.m. Call 01733 555 795 now to order and experience Desi Restaurant's flavors.
Do you own a restaurant or takeaway? Caterfair is an expert supplier of new and used commercial catering equipment. Visit caterfair.co.uk for quality equipment on sale at the lowest prices, or call us on 01733 310 115 or visit us at 11 Royce Road, Fengate, Peterborough.
Whether you visit the Berry Furniture Showroom at 78B Fengate in Peterborough or view and buy online, you'll be amazed at the quality and style you could enjoy in your home. With beds from just £299 and complete 321 sofa sets from less than £1,000, you'll also be amazed at their wholesale prices too. Plus, there's a 1-year free warranty on sofas and beds, subject to conditions. Find out more, click on Berry, that's BERRE furniture.co.uk, or call 01733 300 517.
You're listening to Peterborough's community radio, Salam Radio. Salam Radio. 106.2 FM.
Good afternoon. You are listening to Keep Women Talking, a show from Peterborough Women's Aid on Salam Radio 106.2 FM. Today we are asking you the question, what do you love about being a woman? My co-host Sue, hello Sue.
Hello.
Has already said that she liked carrying her children while she was pregnant. I've talked a lot about makeup and eyelashes and hair straighteners. So we're asking you, what do you love about being a woman? So we actually have our first caller. Caller, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, what do you love about being a woman?
I love the amount of different roles that a woman carries out on a day-to-day life. I love her role from a professional side, being work, being a mum, being a sister, being a daughter, being a daughter-in-law, being a wife, friend. I love how a woman can carry everything.
I love that. And we wear different hats all of the time, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And sometimes I celebrate that. Sometimes it can be quite challenging.
Sometimes it can be a bit of a juggling act, can't it?
It can. It's challenging. It's also challenging all the different stereotypes. Being able to achieve the goals, being part of, having to gender equality in itself, and being empowering and fulfilling all them different roles. I think it is. It can be a challenge day to day.
It can be a challenge, but we can also celebrate it, can't we? I mean, we are professionals, we are mothers, like you say, we're daughters, we're sisters, we're homemakers, we're babysitters, we're child carers, we are...
And we're great at multitasking in between all that.
But I think you're absolutely right. I think we can embrace that as women, can't we? And we should be celebrating it. All of the stuff that we can do. Thank you so much for calling in. You are our first ever caller to the show, so I really appreciate you ringing in. Thank you.
Not a problem. You take care and carry on the good work you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
So, Mandy, I think we spoke before the break a bit about coercive control.
We did.
So I think we can add a bit more to that. Add a bit more substance to it. One of the things that I was thinking about while we were on the break was about people controlling what you wear.
Oh. Oh, is all I can say to that. Oh, okay. Interesting.
There's quite a lot in the media, I think, and there's a lot of pressure in the media about what women should and shouldn't wear. And I think this is quite a huge thing. And I think as a woman, I'm very much, I can wear whatever I choose to wear. And that's my right. And as long as I am happy, it's nobody else's business. But I know when you're in an abusive relationship, very often it may be told to you what you can wear. Mm-hmm. It may be that you're made to cover up. It may be that you're made to wear certain outfits around the house, and again, that's taking that control away from us.
I mean, there's a big difference here, isn't there? When you know, I try an outfit on for I'm going out or whatever, and I say to my partner, well, what do you think? If there's any men listening, the answer is you look amazing every time. Never ever say that they don't. But there's a difference between him saying to me, actually, that's not the best outfit.
That's it, or use it as a means to start calling you names.
Exactly.
Berating
but
you.
it's kind of when you're told you are not going out, you're not going out wearing that, or you are going out wearing what I've picked for you, and this is how I want you to look. That's the issue there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And then another aspect that we that comes under coercive control is controlling sleep. We're finding this quite common with women that we deal with. So very often they will be kept awake so that they don't sleep. They're forced to wake up in the middle of the night for whatever reason, whether that's for sex, to get someone a snack, whatever, you know, the perpetrator chooses. So I think this is sort of I think it comes probably from the war and this deprivation of sleep and this torture process of lack of sleep, which is used really, really readily. And
that is just because we all know how we feel when we don't sleep. It's the worst feeling, isn't it?
I absolutely hate not having enough sleep. I hate it.
But then if you put that in the context of being in an abusive relationship where you're not allowed to sleep, and then then during the day you're having to do you're walking on eggshells, you're avoiding abuse.
That's it, or going back to the post-it jobs
that
you talked about earlier, where you've got to get all those jobs done, and when you're trying to do that without enough sleep, it makes it 10 times harder.
It definitely does. So we've got another comment on our socials. So we have Sharon, and she has put, I am loving the first show so far, ladies, which I love because that links to empowerment. We're all about empowering women here. Oh, I've got another one on social.
About camaraderie.
I've got another comment on social. This is amazing. I love that women's bodies can produce a new life. Our bodies are miraculous. We are strong warriors.
Love that.
I love that too. That was from Gina. Thank you so much, Gina. If you want to get in touch with us, we are asking you the question, what do you love about being a woman? Call us on 01733 602 133. Text us 07411 191062, or comment on our Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. Okay, so we're talking about the different types of domestic abuse, and some listeners you might find this triggering. So if you do need support, or you know anyone that needs support, please call our advice line on 01733 894 964, or you can go on the Peterborough Women's Aid website and make contact with us that way. So we're going to move on, and we are going to look at financial and economic abuse.
So what's the difference between the two, Mandy? Because they sound very similar.
Right, so don't quote me on this. So for me, financial abuse is about not letting a woman have any money. So, for example, giving her an allowance, not letting her have any access for household bills. So it's really linked to the money side of things.
The actual physical money.
So, like I say, give an allowance, money, the exact amount to go shopping. I've years ago, and this is another show. I used to work in prisons with perpetrators, and there was this one man who used to research how much stuff cost at Tesco's, and he would give his partner to the penny that exact amount each week to go shopping. And if she didn't get it in that exact amount, he would be abusive towards her. So it's things like that. It's the actual financial stuff. Now, the economic thing is a lot bigger, because it can be things like preventing her going to work.
So she wouldn't have any income at that point.
Exactly. Withholding, for example, child benefit, or getting universal credit in his name only. We have had incidences, well, we've had quite a few, haven't we, actually, where Women have signed loan agreements, not known what they're committing
they're just told to sign this bit of paper.
Sign this. And imagine you're in fear of your life and your perpetrator is saying, oh, can you just sign this? You're not going to say no, are you? So we've had examples of loan agreements. We've had women that are on mortgages that don't even know that they're on mortgages. A woman was a partner in a company and she didn't even know about this. So the economic part is much bigger. It's like controlling every aspect of your life. And with all domestic abuse, the economic part is there. Because if we go back and look at isolation, when preventing her from going to work, that's isolating.
That's it. I know we've had cases in the past where the woman goes out to work, but all her wages are paid into account that he only has access to. It may well be in her name, but that doesn't mean that she has access to it. He has the bank card, he has all the login details for the app, for example, and she doesn't have access to that money. Or we've even had women that just don't have a bank account.
Yeah.
You know, and have never had any access to money apart from what he physically gives her.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and again, this links back to why don't women leave? So if you've got children, you've got no access to money whatsoever, you don't know any internet banking passwords, you've got no credits coming into your account, your benefits or anything like that. How actually are you going to leave if you have nothing?
That's it. You can't even get on a bus.
No, you can't. And obviously, this is why services like ours are so important, because we enable women that are in those positions to leave.
That's it, because we can offer that support to make sure that the benefits are in their name and get them their help.
Yeah.
And there's national support programs as well that can help women to flee as well, I believe.
Yeah. So we are asking you a question today. What do you love about being a woman? The stuff we're talking about is quite heavy, so we want to lighten it up. So we want you to tell us, what do you love about being a woman? You can call on 01733 602 133. We had our first ever caller to the show today, which was very exciting. You can text us on 07411 191062, or you can comment on Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. So we really want to know, what do you love about being a woman? So we're talking about the different types of domestic abuse, and we are now going to move on to sexual abuse. Now, it is 20 to 1 in the afternoon, so we are going to tread lightly with this one. If you do have Liz with you, you might want to turn down the radio or go in another room, but we will not be going into detail. So Sue, some examples of sexual abuse.
So I think the most obvious one is rape, which we've found commonly happens in abusive relationship. And this can include forced kissing, forced touching that is unwanted, as well as the actual penetration. And I think there's a lot of support out there, not only from us, there is other agencies that are within the Peterborough area that can support you.
Peterborough Rape Crisis, amazing service who support victims of sexual abuse, don't
That's
they?
it. And having sex when you haven't given consent. So, for example, if you've been drugged, if it's happening while you're asleep, these are all forms of sexual abuse. Or if you're under the influence of alcohol. We've had cases where women have been forced to drink alcohol to the point where they have no idea what's going on, and have been raped multiple times, which is a horrific situation to be in. And again, coming back to what we were talking about earlier with the threats and the intimidation, if you give your consent, but it's actually purely because you're being threatened with something else, something happening to you, something being done with you, that is not consent. That is still rape. And then I think we'll come on to tech abuse shortly, but forcing people to take part in sex acts that are being filmed, that are being videoed, and then obviously there's the risk of them being put on the internet and that these days, and degrading you during any sexual act, such as calling you names, and again the physical aspect of that, spitting, biting, hurting you in any way is not okay.
So sexual abuse, the consent issue, and I think we could probably do a whole show on consent, couldn't we? But if we think about consent very, very simply, if you are unable, like you say, drugged, alcohol, whatever, to give consent.
Yeah, it's giving that consent freely.
Yeah, there is no consent there, is there? Yeah. So if a perpetrator says to his partner, you will have sex with me or I am going to kill the dog. Not a crazy example. You know, these things actually do happen. And that woman gives consent. That is still rape.
It is.
Because she is giving that consent because she is in fear of something happening to her.
That's right. It's that threat, that intimidation. So you're not giving true consent. You're giving consent because you're being forced to.
And to be really clear, you can be raped in a marriage.
You can.
Now, this, I can't remember when this became law, but I know it seems fairly recent. I've got in my head it was 1996. I don't know why. Maybe it was before that. But you can be raped.
I've got 1987 in my head, but I don't know why.
I think it was around that period of time.
80s or 90s.
Yeah.
Really,
which seems
recently.
really late, doesn't it? Really late to have that. So this belief that you can't be raped if you're married is absolute rubbish. And very much used by perpetrators as a minimisation, denial.
That's it. They very often say, it's my right, you're my wife, it's my right.
And that is absolutely wrong. Okay. That was a heavy one. And like we said, we did sexual abuse, but kind of like a light touch because it's 1:45 in the afternoon. So, what do you love about being a woman? Please do get in touch. Text 07411 191 062. Comment on our Facebook, on YouTube, X or Twitch, or call us 01733 602 133. Now, we have had a very helpful listener that said 1991 was when the law was changed. Thank you. Someone's out there doing research for us. I love it. Okay. Like we've said throughout, if what we're talking about triggers you or you need support, please do call us on 01733 894 964, or you can visit the Peterborough Women's Aid website and contact us via our live chat. So, Sue, we are going to move on and talk about tech abuse.
I feel I'm unqualified almost to talk about tech abuse because it's got so complicated these days.
It is really complicated, isn't it? So, but because this is so complicated, we're going to hold fire because we have our second caller to the show. We have Brenda on the line. Hello, Brenda.
Hi. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for calling in.
That's okay. I just wanted to say about how good it is being a woman is the amount of progress that's been made over the last 100, 200 years from where women used to be to where we are now. And I think that's something that we can be really proud of.
I couldn't agree more.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And this is what we're all about at Peterborough Women's Aid, aren't we? You know, empowerment, moving forward, the progress that women have made over the last couple of 100 years. Yeah, and that's what we love about being women. Brenda, thank you so much for your call.
It was a pleasure. Carry on the good work, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Wow, a second call.
Second call.
It's all getting exciting.
Love this. Okay, so before we go on to tech abuse, I'm going to repeat the question one more because I feel like there's loads of women out there that want to get in touch with us now. What do you love about being a woman? Call us, Peterborough 602 133, text 074 119 1062, or comment on our Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. So we are moving on to a different type of abuse, which is tech abuse. And Sue, you started to say that you feel completely unqualified to talk about it.
It is so complicated,
Oh, it is.
and it changes so rapidly.
Yeah.
That it's just one of the things that we really struggle to keep up with. Obviously, we're aware that every mobile phone has a location on it. So, one of the first things that we tell women is to make sure that this is turned off whenever sort of they get in touch with us, because this is regularly used by perpetrators to monitor them and keep a track on them. And I know, Mandy, we were having a conversation earlier with regards to, are we allowed to say Snapchat?
I think we can say Snapchat. I've got thumbs up. We can say Snapchat. I think we can say Instagram as well.
So on these social media sites now, they are or can be used in order to track people's location, where they are, who they're with, and it can be monitored 24 hours a day, which can be really scary when you're in that situation.
So we were talking, so weren't we earlier? We were doing some work with teenagers. We were talking about snap maps, and how, like, if you're in as a teenager or as anyone, if you're in an abusive relationship, snap maps. You like you say, you can see where that person is. You can see who they're with if they've got their snap map turned on, and you can pretty much see what they're doing. If they're in a pub or in a bowling alley or whatever.
And I think it's also one of those things that can be easily dismissed by the perpetrator. It's just an app.
Yeah, it's just an app. Everyone's
just
on
make
snap
sure that
maps.
they're safe.
Yeah, and it is. Well, we've had situations where, like, the perpetrator has insisted, turn on your location services. I want to know where you are because I want to know you're safe. Yeah.
Sounds nice.
Just
Sounds
because
lovely.
you know where I am doesn't mean that I'm safe, does it?
No.
Anyway, but yeah, I think especially with young people, snap maps can be an issue, and of course Snapchat itself. When we talk about tech abuse and we talk about messaging and stuff like that, actually, snaps disappear, don't they? So there's no evidence.
Well, they disappear off the app, but I think they can still be traced by the police force, for example.
I didn't know that. That's good. That's why we don't know much about tech abuse. It's always evolving.
Don't take my word for that, but that's what I think.
This is the problem, isn't it, with tech abuse? It's tech abuse. There wasn't tech abuse when I first started in this
now you're showing
sector.
Your age, Andy.
Yeah, basically tech abuse. Well, I can't even think of an example of tech abuse. We didn't have mobile phones. We had, the phone. The phone with the dial thing. Do you remember that?
Attached to the hallway wall.
Yeah, we had one of those. And if you were lucky, you had one that was on the wall with a really stretchy thing.
I remember sitting on the bottom of the stairs.
So tech abuse was really, it wasn't a thing, was it?
And it's, like I said before, it's developing so rapidly that it is one of the hardest things to keep up with. And I know we've found that what appears to be an everyday app can actually be slightly adjusted and can have something added to it, so it doesn't look any different necessarily, but is a means of tracking you. Mm-hmm. And it's a program that runs behind that app, so that you can be monitored where you go and what you're doing.
And this spyware stuff, this can be bought, can't it?
Oh, yeah.
Off the internet quite easily. I remember going on some training about tech abuse not long ago, and the trainer showed us that just by putting an iPhone who had this spyware on next to another iPhone, literally everything can be seen.
Wow.
So emails, bank, socials, everything. And that's really, really scary, isn't it?
It is. It's terrifying that someone can have so much insight into your life and you have no privacy.
Yeah.
And everyone's entitled to privacy.
And then we have the other kind of stuff with tech abuse is about links to financials, doesn't it? About accessing banking online, finding out passwords, things like that as well.
That's it. Definitely. And like you say, that, you know, most banking is online these days, and you have an app on your phone. You know, taking that password away from you can leave you without money, can leave you unable to get to work, and then you get into trouble with work, you get the sack, then you've got no income whatsoever.
And we, again, we sound like we're talking like a movie or something, but this actually does happen, doesn't it? Where we find cameras in teddy bears.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or we've had one example of a perpetrator who was having contact with his children, that he gave the child a teddy bear with a tracking device in it, so he would know the location of mum all of the time.
That's it. And we had a child who came into refuge, a child and a mum who came into refuge, and the perpetrator had put a tracker on the child's pram because he knew that mum would never go anywhere without the baby. So by having the tracker on the pram, he could see where she'd been that day.
It's just unbelievable the lengths that perpetrators will go to, isn't it, to try and find out where somebody is, and this really sense of, it's just so controlling, isn't it?
It is, and that's what it all comes down to, is domestic abuse is all about the power and control that someone has over another person.
It is, isn't it?
And like you say, it's terrifying what lengths some people will go to.
Yeah. So we've touched on quite a lot of the different types of abuse today, and I just want to say to people, if you've been triggered or if you need our support, please do contact Peterborough Women's Aid on 01733 894 964, and you can go on our website, www.peterboroughwomensaid.co.uk, and you can look through the services we have to offer, and you can also anonymously contact us. So I want to say a huge thank you to my co-host Sue, and a huge thank you to everyone that has tuned in today, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio.